everybody, welcome in. This is the latest episode of the 1796 Sports Podcast. Today we're going to be doing something a little different. This is going to be a preview of the basketball season. All right, Ryan, NVF, what do y'all want to get to first? We got a couple good exhibition wins under our belt. How are we feeling so far?
Well, let's cut right to the chase. Dalton Connect is the real deal. He's going to add such a variety to this team. I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but almost 8 to 9 players on this team can shoot the deep ball, and that's huge when you can play good defense like we've always been playing. But yeah, I'm really interested to see how Dalton does this year. I think he's going to really boost his draft stock playing on this team.
It was crazy to see how last year that was kind of the thing that me and Ryan got frustrated with, is a lot of our good defensive efforts were wasted because if the other team scored 60, we were going to lose. And now it's like the two newcomers, you got Jordan Gainey and Connects, both just sharpshooters.
Yeah, I mean, and during even that Michigan State game, that's a top 4 team in the country, and the fact that we're missing Ziegler and Vescovy that game, two of your biggest names on the team, and you still come out of there with the win in that hostile environment. That's huge. I mean, scoring 90 on Michigan State, it, like you said, last year it would have been a huge problem. But God, you cannot leave anyone open on this team.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think where you start with this team is that I don't think it's close that it's the deepest team Rick Barnes has ever had at Tennessee. I mean, it could be argued that you have 2 starting caliber lineups in the SEC. So it's going to be interesting to see how he works out that rotation as we go throughout the season.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, how far does this roster go? It's just, oh man, I'm so excited to watch this year. We have a couple tough games at the beginning of the year too. I mean, going to Wisconsin ain't no joke. So I mean, being that the second game of the season should be a little bit better being early in the season, because obviously Wisconsin, is not. I don't think they're going to be ready for a tough opponent like Tennessee, especially with that defense. And after winning at Michigan State with that environment, because I mean, we could all agree that environment was nuts for an exhibition game. And like I said, you come out of a environment like that with the dub is huge.
Yeah, I see people comparing that win to the Gonzaga win last year, which was at a neutral site, which is not. It's totally different. I mean, this was sold out crowd raising money for wildfires. Like no pun intended, they were clearly fired up. Magic Johnson was in the building. Like, they wanted to win that game just as much as Tennessee did. And I see Michigan State fans on Twitter saying it was our Super Bowl. How many damn Super Bowls is Tennessee sports going to play?
Dude, this is the most successful year in Tennessee athletics ever.
Yeah, we've won like 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know what it is this year, but that seems to be everybody that plays us like scapegoat. It's like, oh, it's your Super Bowl, you guys take it super serious. I'm like, do you not take every game serious for your school?
Yeah, like what is the alternative? Like, or do people expect us to just like half-ass our way through games? I don't get it. It's like, I mean, it's almost like they're jealous that we're good at every sport.
I mean, that's the only explanation. I mean, it's like people can't handle the fact that we will whoop your ass in anything.
Literally, I mean, you go from, look at girls volleyball. They're doing good too. I mean, you got girls volleyball, the softball team, the soccer team, the baseball team, the basketball team. I mean, list goes on. I mean,
Dr. Danny Hunt.
But, dude, this lineup, you got, dude, Meshack. I love Meshack on defense, man. He is nuts when he plays defense. I think he's going to be. I know a lot of people, talk about how he's not great on the offensive side. It's like, but defense is going to win you that championship. I know it sounds cliche, but I mean, if you could hold teams under 60 and you're scoring, I could see this team averaging 70 70 to around 80 points a game, to be honest, if they're all healthy and, doing their thing. Because the fact that you have to cover 8 shooters all game long, it's tough.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a big thing this year because Meshack, like you said, he's a defense guy, and that's fine for this team because he's not going to be looked to be a primary scorer. I mean, you have obviously Vescovi, Ziegler, and then JJJ, and then the 2 newcomers, and then you still have Meshack, you still got Adu. Like, I think like you said, that's a very deep team. That's probably the deepest Barnes team.
The thing about Meshack is everybody knocks him for what, his shortcomings on the offensive end. But last year during the stretch run after Ziegler had his injury, Meshack was one of your number one scoring options because everybody was double and triple teaming Vescovi. So he would go out and get you 12 to 15 points a game in huge games down the stretch in March. So I don't expect him to be a liability on the offensive end by any means. So, and that's one of your players that you're relying on for defense. I mean, this team has the potential to go to the Final Four, and that's the bottom line.
Yeah, I think honestly, and I hate to put it on them because, I mean, college sports is just nuts in general. I mean, anybody could be anybody on any single day, but man, it's hard not to put the expectation of reaching the Final Four, and it's very doable. I mean, the schedule's really not that scary. I mean, other than Texas A&M and even Kentucky, there's not a lot of like powerhouse SEC schools this year.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I feel like the first month of the season will tell us a lot because Wisconsin, Syracuse, North Carolina, Illinois, like those are some legit teams. That's going to be a tough stretch there. I mean, even having winning 3 of those would be huge. So I think we'll find a lot out about this team before conference play even begins.
Oh yeah, I totally agree.
That's my favorite thing about Rick Barnes, and he's done it since he's been here. Even when he had rosters that wouldn't cut it in the NAIA, like he was playing any and everybody. Like, and that's what you got to do with college basketball to get the RPI, KenPom, BPI, whatever metric that you want to use. You have to play those games in order to be looked at for a tournament. And I don't expect it to matter that much because this team is not going to be on the bubble. So, but in years past, and he's kept it going through the years where he's had good success. Like you need those games to get ready for conference play.
Yeah, what really helps his team is the leadership coming back. I mean, you got Triple J, you got Vescovi, you got Ziegler. I mean, even Meshack and Adu. I mean, you got these guys that have played in the tournament. Ziegler. I mean, he's from my hometown. This kid is gonna be nuts. He's as long as he stays healthy. I hope he does because, man, is he a special talent, man. I love watching him play some basketball.
Yeah, and even like in the SEC, I mean, obviously things could change. Preseason isn't everything, but you have Alabama, Arkansas, Texas A&M, and Kentucky. I mean, is there anybody else that is even somewhat scary? I mean, the Mississippi schools suck. South Carolina sucks. I mean, a lot could change, I know, but it's really hard to not get excited when you're looking at this schedule and this roster.
Yeah, that's why all these damn Kentucky fans coming on my Twitter page and ask me, "Oh, I thought you guys didn't care about basketball." It's like, how can you not care about basketball? I care about every sport with the school. Like, baseball season comes around, I'm still watching the Lady Vols play softball. Like, it's any sport with the school that it's hard not to be a fan of. I mean, like you said earlier in the podcast, I mean, when your teams are good, how do you not watch them? Even the Lady Vols basketball team, they're going to be good this year. How do you not watch the games? And trust me, I get it. I mean, most people won't watch the girls' sports. It's just not as exciting, but the teams are good. So,
yeah, it's like what we were talking about the other day. Like, it's part of what makes Tennessee so special is like we care about all the sports, even though women's basketball, like it's all entertaining. It's all balls.
Yeah. Guys, I really want to get into this starting lineup we put out against Michigan State. So you started off with Jordan Gainey at point. You had Mayshek at the 2. You had Connect at 3, James at the 4, Adu at the 5.
Mm-hmm.
Now, 2 of those guys are probably not going to start. And we went up there and took it to them early. Like we had a 15-1 lead. And that's 2 players that you're probably going to be getting 15 minutes a game from. So it just goes back to the depth of this team. It's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I agree. I mean, Gainey really showed something to me in that game. The kid is lights out from beyond the arc. The poise he played with was just awesome to see. I mean, like I said, that crowd was absolutely bonkers. And I expect that. I mean, if Michigan State came to Knoxville, I'd expect Knoxville to be like that too. But like for an exhibition game, that's nuts. And for Gainey to go in there and control the game like he did for, I believe he's a freshman, ain't he?
I think he's played a year. I can't remember where
he played. He played at South Carolina Upstate.
Yeah. So
he's never experienced a crowd like that.
Absolutely not. And he went in there and knocked down the free throw that iced the game away.
Right. I mean, and especially after missing one, you're thinking after you missed that first one, you're like, oh crap, you know something's in his head. But yeah, he iced the game right there. You knew you won the game after that.
Yeah, I mean that's something that I think is a pretty big takeaway as well. Is like Connect and Gainey both played for tiny schools. I think like Connect played at Northern Colorado,
somewhere in Colorado.
Like some small school, and then Gainey played at some small school in South Carolina. But they didn't look like the spotlight was too big for them. I mean, I know it's an exhibition game, but it's Michigan State with a raucous crowd. Like the fact that they went from playing at small schools like that last year to immediately contributing is encouraging.
Can we talk about that dunk from Dalton Connect? When everybody,
oh my God, I went absolutely nuts after that happened.
And everybody, if you watch this highlight tape, you know that he could do that. But everybody more or less expected him to spot up from 3, and he goes out there and dunks somebody's head. Like
he dropped 28 points. I mean, the kid's nuts.
He can get to the basket. He can post up. He can hit turnarounds. He can dunk on people's heads, and he can spot up from 3 and be 40 to 50%. Like he's a player.
Well, and one of the announcers said it perfectly about him. The reason he came to Tennessee is he knew Rick Barnes would turn him into a defensive player too. Mm-hmm. And the fact that if you put a defensive player behind a guy like that, of course he's NBA talent. And if he has the year that we all think he's going to have, I wouldn't be shocked seeing him go in the first round. How do you not think that? The kid could shoot. He could drive. He could play defense. What else do you want? He's got the attitude. So
he's got the size. I mean, he's the whole package. And like Barnes complimented his defense like immensely after that game. And I think everybody in the program, I don't know why they thought this after seeing what he did against Michigan State, expected him to be, just average or below average on defense. But I trust him. He has the size and effort and skill set to do it. So I expect him to be a contributor on the defensive end too. So he is absolutely a player. And if Tennessee wins the SEC or even has a decent season, he's probably going to be SEC Player of the Year.
I agree. My biggest thing about this team is I wish we had Plavsic back. I think this team would really benefit from and I get it. Awaka, he's a big dude, but Plavsic was different, man. Like just the pure size and dominance underneath the boards, and Adu's great. I love watching him play. He could shoot the 3 a couple times. He could hit that, but he's skinny a little bit. Not saying he can't, get some rebounds, but he's not a Plavsic. So
another thing about the starting lineup against Michigan State is I'm pretty sure all of them hit a 3 in that game, and that's like I said, 2 players that you're probably not going to see more than 20, 15 minutes a game from, and they all can hit 3s.
Yep, everybody in starting 5 hit at least 1.
And that's what I think is the biggest difference from Euros to the post that we have now is that for as much edge that Euros brought and as much as he banged around in the paint and got rebounds, I think we're going to benefit more from having post players that you can stretch out and somebody actually has to go out and guard him. It seemed like last year some of our offensive struggles seemed to be from the guy on Euro sinking down in the paint and him holding the ball for a little bit and everything getting a little bit bogged down.
It was a 2010 offense. I mean, it's just
Yeah.
the way that basketball's gone in the past decade. All 5 players have to have some range.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
You can't have, not taking anything away from Plavsic, like he had his role on the team, and it was the reason we were one of the best defensive teams in the league, but in the country. But at this day and age with basketball, you got to be able to spread the floor.
Yeah, and I think the edge this year is probably going to come from Triple J. I think that can be his, I kind of thought, I hate to say it about Triple J because he obviously loves Tennessee, loves Rick Barnes, but I kind of wanted him to move on. But then I think, veteran leadership couldn't hurt. But I think he's going to be the one that brings the edge to this team.
I agree. I mean, the kid could score. You know what I did admit? I felt like he wasn't as aggressive during that Michigan State game. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
He didn't really. He had a couple shots where I thought he should have took, but he picked up the ball and passed it, and I just didn't see him as the same Triple J that we were used to.
Yeah, I mean, he only shot 3 field goals.
Mm-hmm.
Which is shocking because usually he takes a couple.
I think either he just realized it on his own or Barnes just told him, you're not one of the top options to score anymore, and we really need you to push more towards the defensive end and rebounding, which is something that I think a player like Josiah Jordan James can do because he loves the program and will do whatever's best for Tennessee. And it's tough to take away the spotlight from a guy who's been here for what's now his 5th year, but I think he understands that we have players now behind him that can score, and he doesn't have to be the only man pressing the issue on offense.
We definitely have some guys that could score on this team. But yeah, I was gonna ask you guys that. Who do you think is gonna be the leading scorer on this team this year?
It's tough not to go with Connect, but if I was picking a sleeper, I would probably go with Zakai Ziegler, just because how creative he is at getting to the basket, and
as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, and I think that's part of the reason James struggled last year is because he was never really fully healthy. It was obvious. So, but Bryce, what about you? Who do you think is going to be our leading scorer?
Like you said, I mean, it's hard. The easy answer would be Connect. I still am not. I wouldn't be surprised if it was Vescovi again.
Yeah, I think Vescovi can be that man this year because he's not going to be the only one getting attention.
Exactly. Last year in the tournament, it was frustrating because it was literally times where he literally just had 3 people on him.
Yeah.
Because you were not worried about anybody else stepping out.
No.
So I would say Vescovi or Connect.
Yeah. What about you, Normal Ball fan?
Well, see, I'm on the same page. I think Connect's probably the everybody answer. But if I had to pick a sleeper, I mean, oh man, I want to say Vescovi and I want to say Ziegler, but I think it's the guy we were just talking about. I think Triple J could end up doing something huge this year. I mean, especially with this being his last year. I mean, he's going to want to show something, to NBA teams, so.
Yeah. So I kind of want to get into some season outlook or predictions. What do y'all think our record in the SEC is going to be? And I'll let you go first, Bryce.
Yeah, so like we kind of already talked about how the SEC is better than it's been in some years, but it's not like some Goliath conference if like it was. I don't think it's a stretch to say we went. Hold on, let me pull it up. We went 11-7 in the SEC last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it is a stretch at all to say 13-5 is probably what you should expect. I mean, maybe even better than that.
Yeah.
I would say 13 or 14 wins is a attainable target.
Yeah.
You're probably going to fall to Kentucky once. I mean, I hate to say it, but you'll probably fall to Kentucky once.
It's tough to win in Rupp.
Yeah. I mean, Texas A&M is going to be a tough out. Arkansas will be tough. I could see 13 or 14 wins, though.
Yeah, the thing that keeps me away from saying 15 or 16 and more what Bryce was alluding to in the lower to mid-teens is the whistle you get on the road in the SEC is complete and utter horseshit. So you're probably looking at 13 or 14, like Bryce just said. What are your thoughts on that, normal ball fan?
See, I'm kind of being on the. I don't want to say like I don't want to sound negative. I'm trying to be conservative with the wins. I agree. I think 13 is a good number. I'm gonna lean towards a 12 win kind of schedule just because of how tough our non-conference schedule is. But I could definitely see a 13, 14, 15 SEC, type schedule for us. But
yeah, the thing that prevented us from getting that last year was you probably lost 3 to 4 road games in the SEC because you didn't hit your damn free throws.
Yep.
It seems like everybody had the yips at the free throw line, and I hope that doesn't happen again. But, and even more than that, just like I alluded to, the whistle you get is just abysmal sometimes on the road, which is probably why we have a great home record.
Yeah, I mean, we went 14-2 at home.
Yeah.
And 4-6 on the road. So there's definitely something to that. And I mean, you go to talk about how tough it is to win on the road in the SEC. Alabama did not lose a home game last year.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama went 15-0 at home. Texas A&M only lost one home game. So I mean, it's hard to chalk up anything as a win in the SEC.
Absolutely.
yeah, I mean, what's your take on the overall record? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking probably. I think it's very attainable to get to 25 wins in the regular season.
Did it last year.
Yeah.
I agree. I think. What are you thinking with the a March ticket? What seed do you think?
That's so tough because you don't know like how else it's gonna go. I mean, I could easily see a 1 seed. I honestly could. I mean, I know that makes me sound like a homer, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility we win the SEC. And I mean, if everything, let's say that best case scenario, I think we can win the SEC and be a 1 seed. Probably somewhere in the middle, I would say comfortably a 3 seed.
Yeah. I think 3 to 4 seed is the floor for this team.
Which is honestly better. I mean, you'd probably rather be that. It just seems like that's the way it goes. Like, I mean, UConn, I don't think you want to be a 1 seed necessarily. It just seems like it's kind of cursed.
Yeah, how often does a 1 seed even win the tournament? It's
been a while, right?
I think it has. And normally the number 1 overall seed is out before the Elite 8. So it's
hard. It's a hard schedule because usually, I mean, you go in as the 1, you play the 16. Yes, you're most likely going to win that, but then you play an 8 and 9 seed that usually isn't bad. So it's a hard road. I mean, I'm not saying I've honestly thought our road was easy last year. I mean, once you beat Duke, it was like we should have beat FAU. It's kind of tough. I mean, FAU played really well, but we should have won that game.
Yeah.
But anything happens in March.
Yeah. And I get so angry at people who just shit on Rick Barnes just because of March. And I'm saying this as an alumni of the University of Tennessee. I'm way more prouder of a program that you never hear anything negative out of. You don't have a fucking murder scandal going on in the middle of the season. You and you 20 plus games a year. Like, I'm fine with that. Go back in the history of Tennessee basketball. This is the best it's ever been. It's not even close. So people who like it's always the question of who you if you fire Rick Barnes, and it's probably not. It's probably somebody who's not even close to as good as of a program builder, a program maintainer as Rick Barnes. And the thing about March is anything happens, and he's just had bad luck, and that's sometimes what you need in March is good luck, and he's only had that once, and it was in 2003 when he made the Final Four.
Yeah, I mean especially March and basketball. I mean, it just seems like more fluky, I guess you could say, than college football. You know, it just anything can happen. I don't think people realize how hard it is to win in March. I mean, and the fact that Tennessee's not a blue blood in basketball,
but Rick Barnes has put us on that level.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point where it's kind of like in football now with Heupel. Like, if you're not, winning 9 games, at least everybody's pissed and disappointed. It's the same thing with the basketball team. Like, if we're not making the tournament, if we're not one of the top, 3 or 4 seeds in the SEC, then it's a disappointment.
And I would say go back and look in the 90s and look at the 5-win teams. Like, this is the best it's ever been.
Yeah, I agree. It's, and I get it. A lot of people talking about, how, the whole Rick Barnes thing. The fact that we're talking about, we're the favorites to win the SEC going into the year. I mean, most people are thinking, we're going to be in March as possibly a 1 to 2, maybe 3 seed. How are you talking about Rick Barnes, being a bad coach when people are talking about you like that at the beginning of the season?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm mistaken here, but I think this is the first time we've been picked to win the SEC when he's been the coach.
It is. Yeah, he was talking about that last week.
Yeah.
He said he didn't even know about it until some students told him congrats.
Yeah, well, that means nothing. Those students should get a grip, but, it just, at the very least, it says that you were running a great program. And anybody...
Well, there's expectation now.
Yeah.
It's not like... for even much of our life, it's like football season's over and you're just waiting on football season to come back.
Yeah.
Or you're more excited about the Lady Balls than way more excited about the Lady Balls for most of our life. And now it's at the point where the basketballs are there too. So
yeah,
it's just cool to see.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is what I want to do before we get out of here, because I know it's 10:50 here. I want to go through our schedule and go game by game, not into detail, but I want to hear both of your thoughts on, do we win the game? Is it a toss up with a W in a close game type thing? Okay. So I got the schedule pulled up, and I'll ask you guys, we'll go through the schedule and see what you say. But all right, Monday, November 6th, Tennessee Tech.
Win.
Yes.
Win. I agree. Then that Friday we go to Wisconsin. It's a 9 p.m. Eastern, game, so it's going to be pretty raucous crowd over there on a Friday night.
I'll go with the win there too.
Bryce, you sticking with that?
Yeah. I see some losses, but I think we can. I think we'll get a couple in a row before we get a loss.
Okay, so we got, and I agree. I think Wisconsin's I'm not gonna say a toss up. I think we win the game, but I only think we win by at most like 7 to 8 points.
Yeah. I wouldn't put any money or anything. So
yeah, so that's 2-0, and then we play Wofford at home. I'm taking that as a win as well.
Yep.
So 3-0, and then you go to Syracuse.
I think Syracuse a road game. I think it.
Yes, it's in New York.
Yeah.
It's on a Monday night, or actually, it's a Monday evening.
Yeah. Honestly, I think that's going to be a tough win.
Yeah,
I know Syracuse isn't what they used to be, but I think it's Syracuse.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough game. I mean, the thing about Syracuse is they always have a good environment in that dome. I'll probably say we win by less than 5 there.
So you're saying close win?
Yeah.
Okay, so I had us going 4-0, and then this is where it gets kind of sketchy to where you could either make it a really good start to a season or it could, flip on a dime. But then you go to North Carolina, number 19 in the country in the preseason. So, and it's a 7:15 start on a Wednesday night. So it's going to be a raucous crowd.
You can hear us, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I cut out for a second. So what did you think about UNC? We missed that part.
Well, I was just saying it's 7:15 start time. I was just saying how this could, potentially make a really good start to the season if you win this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a crucial, not crucial in the terms of like our season's in jeopardy if we lose it, but it'll tell us what kind of level we're at. UNC kind of had a down year last year. I don't think many people I don't think they're going to miss the tournament again. But I do think we have the shooters to win that game.
Oh, I completely agree. I honestly think we win this game.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with that being our first loss, just because it's in Chapel Hill, and it's going to be an important game for them in their RPI and their BPI and every other metric. So I'm going to go with that as our first loss, but it's going to be close. It's going to be a close one.
So,
okay,
Ryan.
I mean, I can see it too. I just think we sneak it out. I think it's going to be one of those games where it's kind of like that Michigan State game, to where it was like back and forth towards the end.
Yeah.
Hey, is there something? Is your like setup any different? I'm wondering because it's like, what would you call that? It's like very robot-y.
It's probably because I'm not at home, and the Wi-Fi.
It could be because I was gonna say my setup's the same.
Okay, yeah, it might be on our end then. Hopefully, it doesn't pick up in the recording. But
I was gonna say you sound like a robot to me now.
One loss.
Yeah, and then we go into at home. We have a big home stretch right here. So we start with George Mason.
Yeah, George Mason has historically been a feisty basketball team. They're known to pull an upset or two. I think we'll handle business.
Yeah.
At Food City.
Yeah, we'll get the job done against Kim English and his boys. Another Rick Barnes coaching tree standout.
Okay, so so at this point we're 6-1. Coming off that loss, we'll say North Carolina's a loss because it was 2 against 1. But then we got Illinois coming to town.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough game. Illinois last year was killer defensively. They actually played quite a bit like us last year.
Yeah.
At home though, I don't know. I don't really see us losing at home.
Yeah, we don't lose at home.
No, yeah, that's a dub.
Yeah, it's a Saturday at noon too, so it's going to be packed. So we're taking that as a dub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you got Georgia Southern.
That'll be a blowout. That one won't be close.
Okay.
Now, I do think this next game, we all have Illinois and Georgia Southern as wins. I do think NC State has upset potential. So I'm not overlooking that game. That's a game that I'm going to be very focused on. I do think we win, but I think that that's a game that has upset potential.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the win.
For the NC State game?
Yes.
Okay, I agree. I think we'll win, but I think Bryce is right. I mean, it's going to be a battle. The next two, I think, are wins. I mean, you got Tarleton State and Norfolk. I can't even say it, but I think those two are easy wins.
Yep, and then you get right into SEC play after that.
Yeah, with Ole Miss. What do you think about that game?
Ole Miss sucks. I think we'll beat Ole Miss.
I agree.
It's a
I
home
think we
game
beat
too.
Mississippi State
Yep.
Georgia's
and
awful.
Georgia.
Yeah. It's nice that we get. I mean, those are the 3 teams you'd like to start conference play with. So that's,
Yeah.
that's good.
I would say 4 teams. You're playing Florida at home too.
Yeah.
It'd be a different story if it was in Gainesville.
Yeah, bad juju there. Well, so are we all in agreement we should start off SEC play 4-0?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And then I think we're going to beat Alabama in Knoxville.
At home, yes.
Yeah, they're a totally different team when it's not in Tuscaloosa. So I think that's 5-0.
Well, they also don't have Brandon Miller, so
They're or Darius Miles.
Yeah. That's gonna be a win.
and then we got our other home game at Vanderbilt.
Yeah, I mean, Vandy's feisty. They play tough. They upset Arkansas last year. Like they won some big games last year, but no, that's a home game for us. They have 0 home court advantage. That's a win.
I agree.
Okay, and then South Carolina at home.
South Carolina's horrible. That's another win.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then we go to Lexington.
That's a loss.
Loss.
Okay, I don't disagree with that. I think we go 1-1 against Kentucky this year. But after that game, you have LSU at home.
That's obviously it'd be nice. I would love for it to be a bad day at the coal mines after that, but I don't know. What's after that? We have LSU, right?
Yeah, LSU at home.
We'll win at home.
Yeah. Well, I'm hesitant to pick any game at home as a loss. So that's gonna be a win.
Yeah, and then we get a tough stretch here. I mean, we got A&M and then Arkansas on the road.
Both tough places to play. Both ranked teams at home. Yeah, I mean, I think we'll split them. I think we'll beat Arkansas. Probably lose at A&M.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Okay.
go. I'm gonna go with the opposite there, because we seem to never win in Arkansas, and I think A&M isn't as intimidating as the atmosphere they have in Fayetteville.
I agree. I'd probably say with a win at Texas A&M and loss in Arkansas, but we'll go with that. I mean, at this point, we have 3 losses on the schedule with the loss to North Carolina as well. So Kentucky, North Carolina, and at one of Arkansas or A&M.
You can go with
So-
Arkansas since y'all both said Arkansas. So that's that. And I mean, yeah, those are just tough places to play. I mean, it's going to be hard to win all these on the road. And Arkansas is going to be really jacked up for basketball season because their football team is god awful. So
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. And then we go. We have Vanderbilt at home that following game.
Win.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a win.
Vanderbilt's getting swept.
I agree. And then we go to Missouri.
Feisty game. I think that's another one that Vols fans will write off as an easy win, but
I think it's going to be a less than 5-point win. It seems to be tough to play up there for us for some reason.
that's the furthest
Yeah,
team
yeah.
away, from home. So
I also think this is a payback game, though.
Yeah, because they dominated us last year, big time. But I mean, you had a buzzer beater, but they seem to hit every daggum shot they shot against us last year. So I think we're going to be wanting to get some revenge on them.
yeah, I think it'll end up being a tight win.
Okay, and then we go. Well, we have A&M at home following that game.
Win, because we're at home. That's my rule. If we're at home, we're winning the game.
You think we're going perfect at home?
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
Break it
okay,
down.
then we have Auburn as a win at home following that A&M game.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then you go to Tuscaloosa.
I think that's a loss.
that's a loss, I think.
I don't doubt that either. I think it'll be a tough game. I think all these games we are in the game. I think just home field advantage is huge.
For sure. Especially on the road, especially with the crazy whistle.
I do think we win the next one on the road, though. I think we win it in South Carolina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that we shouldn't. Basically, the theme of this is we should beat all of the basement dwellers and then all the average teams, and then the top of the SEC will probably split with.
Yeah.
Okay. And then we finish the season off with Kentucky at home.
Can't wait for that game.
Win.
That's honestly, I'm going to say that's going to be a convincing win.
Yeah, I think that's a 15 to 20 point win there.
Yeah, that's probably going to be a game I go to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be the one everybody's going to circle, because I think we all expect a loss in Rupp. Going to be getting some payback. I think it's going to be a glorious game.
Okay, so, I mean, in total, I mean, we only have us losing 5, maybe 6 games.
Yeah, which would put you around the 25 win mark. So
okay, I mean, I'm all about it. I agree with all what you guys said. So, I think that's a good way to go into this season. I think this Tennessee Tech team's going to get a beating come Monday after the beating UConn gets tomorrow. And
oh, side note, real quick, right before we end, did y'all see Louisville lost to Kentucky Wesleyan?
Basketball? Yeah, I seen that.
They're in the basement in basketball.
Dude, the funny thing is, though, is like, sometimes you have like Tennessee football, right? Like we played shittily against Austin Peay this year, but at least Austin Peay is like in the top of their conference. And Kentucky Wesleyan was predicted to finish last in their like fucking D3 conference.
Yeah.
And they beat Louisville. Like that's beyond embarrassing.
They've fallen off big time. It's one of the biggest fall offs we've ever seen from a major program.
What's going to be funny though is watching Louisville beat Kentucky in football though.
They might. Hey, it'd be even funnier if they beat them in basketball.
Oh God, dude. Well, I mean, they don't have Oscar Tshiebwe again, so
yeah, they're not having some giant dude foul every time there's a rebound, so that might benefit people.
There's no way he's in the NBA, right? He's definitely in like Croatia or something.
He went undrafted. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he really wasn't that good.
No, he wasn't. That's like one of the prospect hype that when the hype doesn't match the on-court production. When all you
we didn't have a guy that could match up with a guy like him. He bullied the inside. I mean, don't get me wrong, he just wasn't an NBA talent.
Yeah, it's just an old style of play, like we were talking about earlier. He's not really like a floor spacer. So
yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
well, we got a big UConn game to go to tomorrow, so hopefully we'll record that episode relatively soon. Hopefully recapping a 4-touchdown performance by Nico.
Yeah, hopefully. But all right, boys, we'll end it there, and I hope you guys enjoy the game. I'll be enjoying some beer and sitting on my couch watching a bunch of football games.
Hell yeah, man! That sounds delightful.
We're gonna be paying $8 for a beer, so
13.
Oh, we need a beer sponsor.
Yeah,
exactly. But
all right,
anyways,
boys, go Vols!
Go Vols!
Go Vols, baby!